AITA for refusing to give my sister the engagement ring I inherited from our grandmother. I, 29F, inherited my grandmother's engagement ring when she passed away 5 years ago. She left specific instructions in her will that the ring should go to me, her oldest granddaughter. The ring is beautiful, vintage gold band, a large sapphire in the center with diamonds on the sides. It's not just expensive, it's sentimental. I was extremely close with my grandmother, and she told me for years that she wanted me to have it. My younger sister, Anna, 26F, got engaged recently. Her fiancé is a nice enough guy, but not financially well off. She came to visit me a few weeks ago and told me they were struggling to afford a ring. Then she just casually dropped that she wanted to use Grandma's ring. I was shocked and told her I wasn't giving it up. It was left to me, and I've always planned to use it myself one day. She looked genuinely surprised and said she assumed I would want it to stay in the family, and that since I'm not engaged or even dating anyone seriously right now, I should pass it along to someone who's actually getting married. I reiterated that the ring is mine. Period. It was my inheritance, and I'm not under any obligation to give it to anyone. She got upset and started crying, saying I was selfish and that Grandma wouldn't have wanted me to hoard it out of spite. She left early and blocked me for a few days. Cue my parents calling me, saying I should do the right thing and give Anna the ring. My dad tried to stay neutral, but my mom was much more aggressive about it. She told me I was being cold and that I was punishing Anna for getting engaged first. For context, Anna has always been the golden child. When we were kids, she was the pretty one, the one who did dance and cheerleading, while I was more academic and introverted. She got more attention, more freedom, and definitely more leniency when it came to rules and consequences. It's always been a sore spot. I reminded my mom that Grandma specifically left the ring to me, and if she had wanted Anna to have it, she could have written that in her will. My mom said Grandma would want it to be used and not collecting dust in a drawer. But it's not collecting dust. I keep it in a safe, and I look at it often. It's one of the only things I have of hers. A few days later, Anna posted a long Facebook status about how some people value possessions over family and how greed ruins relationships. She didn't name me, but it was obvious. Several mutual friends and extended family commented things like, "You deserve better," and "Some people are just petty." I didn't respond, but I started getting texts from cousins and even an aunt asking what was going on. Eventually, I posted a single comment under the post saying, "Just to clarify, Grandma left me her ring in her will. I didn't take anything from anyone." Anna deleted the post a few hours later, then called me screaming, saying I embarrassed her and made her look like a liar. I told her that if she was willing to lie by omission to make me look bad, then she can deal with the fallout. That's when she said she never wanted to speak to me again. I said that was her choice, and I wouldn't chase her. Now the wedding is in a few months, and I'm not invited. My parents are still pushing me to be the bigger person and just give her the ring as a wedding gift, which makes me livid. It feels like they're once again showing favoritism and expecting me to sacrifice something because it's easier than dealing with Anna's meltdowns. I did talk to a lawyer just in case my friend is one, and he said I'm 100% in the clear legally. The will is airtight, and there's no way Anna could lay claim to it. That's not even the issue. It's the family pressure and the guilt tripping that's been hardest. I've been thinking a lot about whether I'm being too rigid. Maybe I could have offered to let her wear the ring temporarily, though I don't trust her to give it back. Or maybe offer to help her buy a cheaper ring, but honestly, the entitlement threw me. She didn't ask, she expected. She came in acting like I was just holding it for her until she needed it. I've since distanced myself from most of my family. The cousins who reached out to support me privately said they understood, but didn't want to get involved publicly. It sucks. I hate drama, and I hate that this ring has become such a point of division. But I also feel like if I cave, it sends a message that my boundaries don't matter. So now here I am. My sister isn't speaking to me. My mom keeps calling with wedding updates like I'm still invited, even though Anna made it clear I'm not. My dad keeps saying he understands both sides, but is disappointed I'm letting a ring come between us. I love my family. I really do. But I also love my grandmother. She chose me. She gave me something that meant a lot to her and to me. Am I supposed to just hand it over because someone else wants it more loudly than I do? AITA, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. AITA for ruining my sister's dream wedding because I refused to be her maid of honor unless she invited my husband. So I, 32F, have been married to my husband Liam, 34M, for almost 5 years, together for 9. He's the love of my life, my best friend, and honestly the kindest, most dependable person I've ever known. My younger sister Emily, 29F, is getting married this December, and we've always been close, though she's always been a little intense when it comes to her vision of things. She's very type A, extremely detail-oriented, and her wedding has basically become her entire personality for the last 18 months. I was thrilled when she asked me to be her maid of honor. We cried together. We reminisced about playing dress-up and fake weddings as kids. I was genuinely excited and honored until I saw the guest list. Liam wasn't on it. At first, I assumed it was a mistake. We got dinner 2 days after she sent me the formal invitation, and I brought it up casually like, hey, I think Liam's RSVP card might have been left out by accident. She just looked at me, dead serious, and said, no, it wasn't. I'm not inviting him. I laughed because I thought she was joking, but she wasn't. Her reasoning? She wanted a small, intimate wedding. It's 130 guests, and only wanted people she had a real personal connection with. According to her, she doesn't feel close to Liam, so she didn't feel the need to include him. I was floored. My husband has attended every family function for the past 9 years. He's fixed her car, helped her move, even co-signed a small loan with her when her credit was trash. He helped her dog when it had a seizure at 2 a.m. and she didn't know what to do. He's not just my husband, he's family. I told her that not inviting Liam would be a deal breaker for me. That I couldn't, in good conscience, stand beside her at the altar and give speeches about love and partnership while my own partner was excluded for no real reason. She said I was being selfish and dramatic, and that the day wasn't about me. I said I understood it was her day, but I wasn't going to play pretend. I told her if she changed her mind, I'd be honored to stand by her. But if not, I would still wish her the best, send a gift, and politely decline to attend. Cue the nuclear fallout. She went ballistic. She said I was emotionally blackmailing her and punishing her for making a personal choice about her wedding. My parents got involved and took her side, saying I should just suck it up because weddings are once in a lifetime, and it wasn't like she hated Liam. My mom literally said, it's not like she didn't invite him out of malice. She just doesn't vibe with him. I asked them all to imagine if the roles were reversed. If I invited my sister to a huge milestone in my life, but excluded her long-term partner because I didn't vibe with him, would they honestly expect her to just show up and smile through it? No one had an answer for that. They just kept saying family comes first, which is rich, considering they're asking me to betray the person I've chosen to be my family for life. Emily told extended family and friends that I refused to be part of her wedding over a petty grudge, and now I'm getting texts and DMs from people I haven't talked to in years, telling me to apologize before I regret it forever. One of our cousins even posted a passive-aggressive Facebook status that said, some people don't deserve siblings. It's gotten so bad that Liam told me he'd be fine with me going without him. He said he didn't want to be the reason I lost my relationship with my sister. But that's the thing, he's not the reason. She is. She made this choice. It's not about a wedding invite anymore. It's about what kind of boundaries I'm allowed to have. About what kind of respect is expected in a family. If I give in now, I'm teaching her that my marriage is disposable to her convenience. That she can exclude someone this important to me, and I'll still show up with a smile. For what it's worth, I did try to have another conversation with her last week to see if we could find common ground. She was still adamant. Said it was too late to change the seating chart and that not everything has to revolve around my husband. I asked her what she thought it looked like, having a maid of honor whose spouse wasn't there, especially when she'd be giving a speech about love and loyalty. She told me to be less performative. so I'm officially out. I sent her a long, heartfelt message wishing her the best and reiterating that I love her, but I won't compromise on this. I Venmo'd her $500 as a wedding gift. I blocked the relatives who were harassing me online and put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Now I'm sitting here wondering if I made a huge mistake, because despite everything, I still love my sister. And I never imagined not being there on her wedding day. But I also know that if the roles were reversed, I'd never do this to her. Never. So Reddit, AITA? AITA for refusing to give up my honeymoon destination because my sister wants to get married there too? I, 29F, got married in early September after being with my husband, 31M, for 6 years. We have been planning the wedding and honeymoon for nearly 18 months. It was a small but beautiful ceremony in the mountains, followed by a 2-week honeymoon in a picturesque coastal town in Italy that we both fell in love with years ago while backpacking in our early 20s. This particular town has sentimental value to us. It's where we had one of our first serious conversations about our future together, and we always joked about coming back for our honeymoon. So we saved up, splurged on a lovely villa, and had the most perfect 2 weeks there. Enter my younger sister, Ashley, 26F, who just got engaged last month. She and her fiancé have been together for about a year, and while I'm happy for her, things got awkward real fast. Last weekend, our family got together at our parents' house for a casual brunch to celebrate her engagement. At some point, Ashley pulled me aside and asked if she could talk to me privately. She told me she and her fiancé were thinking of having a destination wedding and asked me for details about the place my husband and I honeymooned at. I was happy to share. I even pulled up the name of the villa we stayed at, a few restaurants we loved, and gave her some local contact info for vendors. She was really excited. Fast forward to Wednesday night. Ashley calls me, buzzing with energy. She says she and her fiancé decided they have to get married in the same town we honeymooned in. I said, oh, cool. It's a gorgeous place. But then she drops the bomb. We want to book the exact villa you stayed at. And we want to use some of the same photos you took for our invites, kind of like a tribute to your wedding and honeymoon. I was caught off guard and asked her what she meant by tribute. She goes, well, you and Tom have always had this perfect relationship. I've always looked up to you, and I thought it'd be meaningful to sort of recreate what you guys had. The vibe, the look, everything. I'll be honest, I found it really unsettling. I tried to be gentle and said I thought it might be weird to basically replicate our honeymoon. She got super defensive and said I was being selfish and possessive of a place, and that it's not like we own Italy. I told her no, of course we don't own it, but it just felt strange that she wanted to copy something so personal to me and my husband. She got upset and said I was trying to gatekeep happiness, that it wasn't fair I was refusing to share something that made me happy. I reiterated that it's not about the town. It's about how she's going out of her way to mimic the most intimate part of our wedding experience. I suggested a few other beautiful towns in Italy that they could consider instead, and she snapped, so you get the perfect spot, and I have to settle for second best? Nice. Later that night, my mom called. Apparently, Ashley was crying and told her that I crushed her dream wedding and made her feel like a thief. My mom, who usually stays neutral, told me that maybe I should be more flexible, that it's just a location, and if it means that much to Ashley, maybe I should let her have it. I'm still standing my ground. I told Ashley that I'm not going to stop her from doing anything, but I won't support her decision to copy something so meaningful to us. I said if she goes through with it, I'd feel hurt, and it might affect how much I participate in her wedding. She said I was punishing her for being inspired by me. Now my parents think I'm being cold and territorial, and Ashley keeps texting me links to wedding dresses that look eerily similar to mine, asking what I think. Almost like she's trying to prove a point. Even some of my friends are split. A few said it's weird and kind of creepy to copy someone else's honeymoon, especially your sister's. Others say I should take it as a compliment. My husband thinks it's bizarre, but said he'll support whatever I decide, though he admitted the idea of going back to that town in the future might feel strange if it gets turned into Ashley's wedding spot. I never told Ashley she can't go there, but now I feel like I'm being pressured to give a blessing I don't feel good about. AITA for not wanting my sister to hijack my honeymoon spot and aesthetic for her own wedding. AITA for kicking my sister and her kids out after she ruined my daughter's birthday party? My 38F daughter Emily turned 10 last weekend. She's my only child, and my husband, 41M, and I struggled with infertility for years before we had her. So yes, I absolutely dote on her. Every birthday, we try to make it special. Nothing insane like pony rides or private jets, but things she really loves. This year, she wanted a Harry Potter theme party. She's obsessed with the books. We just finished the last one together, so we planned a backyard party with floating candles, a sorting hat game, custom wands, themed food, and even hired a local theater student to dress as Hagrid and do magic tricks. It took weeks to plan. Emily helped with the decorations and picking out music and treats. She even hand-wrote invitations to her 12 friends from school. Enter my sister, Dana, 35F, and her kids, 9F and 6M. Dana's a single mom, and she's been staying with us temporarily for the last 3 months after her lease ended, and she couldn't find a new place. It's been tense. She doesn't help around the house much, leaves dishes everywhere, and expects me to watch her kids constantly. I've tried to be patient, but it's been wearing thin. I gave her plenty of notice about the party. I even offered to have her kids join in. I ordered extra wands, made sure there were enough party bags. All I asked was that she keep an eye on them and help keep things smooth since I'd be running around hosting. The party started off great. Emily was in heaven. She wore her Gryffindor robes, we had music from the movies playing, and the kids were laughing and playing. But about halfway through, things started to unravel fast. First, I noticed Dana had poured herself a glass of wine and was sitting on the porch scrolling through her phone, completely ignoring her kids. Her son, 6M, was crying because he wanted to win the sorting game. I tried to calm him down, but 5 minutes later, he was throwing jelly beans at another kid and yelling that magic is stupid. Then her daughter, 9F, told Emily that Harry Potter was for babies and that wizards are lame. Emily looked hurt, but I tried to shrug it off. Not every kid likes the same things. But then Dana's daughter ripped the sorting hat in half because she was bored. Emily burst into tears. This hat was something we made together out of paper mache and fabric, and she was so proud of it. I took Dana's daughter aside and told her that was unacceptable, and Dana? She just laughed and said, "It's just a stupid hat, relax." Things got worse. While I was distracted trying to manage the cake situation, which Dana conveniently disappeared during, her son took a Sharpie and drew on our backyard fence. My husband caught him, and when he told Dana, she just shrugged and said, "Kids will be kids." I lost it. I told Dana that she needed to take her kids and leave the party. She got offended and said I was making a scene in front of all these little kids, and I replied that I didn't care. She and her kids had completely ruined my daughter's birthday, and they needed to go. Now, she called me a psycho and said I was choosing a nerd party over family. I told her she had until the next day to pack her things and move out. Dana left in a huff, dragging her kids behind her. Emily's friends were clearly weirded out by the whole thing, and the rest of the party fizzled out after that. Emily put on a brave face, but I could tell she was crushed. The next day, Dana texted me that I had embarrassed her and traumatized her kids. She said they were just being kids and that I was being uptight and dramatic. She told our parents, and now they're calling me cruel and ungrateful for abandoning family. My mom said I could have just talked to Dana after the party and that kicking her out was a nuclear overreaction. I honestly don't know anymore. I'm still furious and feel like I was protecting my daughter's special day, but now I'm second-guessing myself. I did kick out a single mom and her kids. Maybe I should have handled it differently? So AITA? AITA for refusing to let my brother bring his emotional support dog to my wedding even though it caused a huge family blow-up? So I, 32F, am getting married in December. My fiancé, 33M, and I have been together for 5 years and engaged for about a year. We're planning a smallish winter wedding, around 85 guests, and it's taking place at this beautiful historic estate that has been converted into a venue. Everything has been going pretty smoothly until my older brother, 35M, decided to turn everything upside down. My brother, let's call him Dave, has always been dramatic. He's also had a tough life, I won't deny that. He's dealt with anxiety and some depression since he was a teenager, and about a year and a half ago, He got an emotional support dog named Luna, a 70-pound German Shepherd. To be clear, Luna is not a trained service dog, just an ESA, which, from what I understand, doesn't have the same legal protections when it comes to public places or events. When I sent out the formal invites, I made it clear that the venue doesn't allow pets. Again, not service animals, but pets or ESAs. And this was one of the few hard lines the venue itself drew. It's an old historic building with antique furniture, expensive rugs, and a strict contract that basically says we're responsible for any damages caused by our guests, human or animal. I told people in the RSVP card, please note that, per venue policy, no animals, except certified service animals, are allowed. I thought that would be the end of it. Apparently not. Dave called me about 3 weeks ago and said he was excited to come, but he'd be bringing Luna, of course. I reminded him of the policy and said I was really sorry, but that Luna couldn't come. He got really quiet and then asked if I was seriously expecting him to attend without her. I told him yes. I reiterated that she's not a service animal and the venue is super strict. He said I should have considered that before choosing such a snob a place, and that I was discriminating against him. I told him I wasn't trying to be cruel. I do understand Luna helps him, but that my hands were kind of tied with the venue rules. He blew up, told me I was putting my wedding aesthetics over his mental health, and hung up on me. Since then, my phone's been blowing up. My mom is begging me to make an exception. I can't. It's not my rule, saying I'm alienating my brother and that weddings are about family. My dad is more neutral, but said maybe I could try to meet Dave halfway. My younger sister thinks Dave is being ridiculous and is on my side, but she also suggested I could maybe talk to the venue to see if they'd bend the rule just this once. I did. I called the venue and explained the situation, and they were very firm. Unless the dog is a certified service animal with documentation, it's a hard no. Liability reasons, allergies, antique furniture, all of it. They even said we'd risk having our event canceled midway if they caught us breaking the rule. That terrified me. When I told Dave this, he said I should change venues. For months before the wedding. Deposits are paid, vendors are booked. I told him that wasn't realistic, and he basically said, then you're choosing a fancy party over me, and hung up again. Now my mom is saying that Dave might not come at all, and if he doesn't, she might stay home too to support her son. My aunt has chimed in and accused me of not understanding mental health issues. It's starting to feel like my entire wedding is being held hostage over this dog. I've tried to suggest compromises, like hiring a dog sitter for Luna nearby, so she's close, or paying for a hotel where Dave could stay with her and take breaks if he needs to. But he says that defeats the purpose because the anxiety he gets is from being separated from her. I love my brother. I want him there. But I also want to enjoy my wedding day without constantly worrying about breaking the venue's rules, possibly getting fined, or worse, having our wedding shut down. Now I'm getting paranoid. Am I the one being unreasonable? Should I have tried harder to accommodate him? My fiancé says he fully supports me and doesn't want a big dog at our wedding anyway. He's mildly allergic and not a dog person. But even he's starting to get exhausted by the family drama. I'm torn between wanting to stand my ground and feeling like I'm being made into the villain. AITA for canceling Thanksgiving at my house after my sister-in-law brought her own food to save everyone. I'm a 38-year-old woman, and I've been hosting Thanksgiving at my home for the last 6 years. My husband, 40M, and I both enjoy cooking, and it's become a tradition that we spend the week prepping, cooking, and decorating for our family. My husband's family is big. He has 3 siblings and their spouses, plus nieces and nephews, so when everyone comes, it's around 18 people total. My family is smaller, just my parents and my younger brother. We've made it work, and for the most part, it's been fun. Until last year, my sister-in-law Megan, 36F, who is married to my husband's brother Jake, 39M, has always been a little particular. She went vegan 3 years ago and started following a lot of clean eating influencers. Which is fine. I respect that. Every year, I made sure there are multiple vegan dishes at Thanksgiving, and I even go out of my way to label everything and keep things separate. I also let her bring 1 or 2 dishes of her own, which I serve alongside everything else. But last year, she arrived with 4 massive trays of food, some sort of lentil loaf, steamed vegetables, quinoa salad, and a no-sugar pumpkin pie. When I politely asked what they were for, she loudly announced in front of everyone, "I figured this year we could do things a little healthier. I brought enough for everyone so no one has to eat all that butter and sodium." I was stunned. She had essentially tried to replace the entire meal I'd spent 3 days making. My husband saw the look on my face and immediately stepped in, thanking her, but saying we already had plenty of food. She insisted we, at least, let people choose, and started placing her dishes front and center on the buffet line. I didn't want to make a scene, so I just gritted my teeth and tried to enjoy the day. But it really hurt. I'd spent so much time and money on everything, only to have someone imply it wasn't good enough, or worse, unhealthy and harmful. And yeah, some of my dishes have butter. It's Thanksgiving. That's kind of the point. Fast forward to this year. As usual, I sent out the invitation in early October. Everyone RSVP'd yes, except for Megan, who texted me separately asking if I'd be open to doing a plant-based Thanksgiving this year for everyone. I told her no, but that as always, I'd have vegan dishes, and she was welcome to bring whatever she wanted for herself. She didn't reply for a week, then sent a long message saying she was disappointed in my refusal to evolve, and that continuing to serve traditional Thanksgiving food was tone-deaf in the context of climate change, health, and emerging food consciousness. I ignored it. A week later, Jake called my husband and said Megan was still upset, and that maybe we could compromise by making half the dishes plant-based. My husband said no, and that we weren't interested in changing our whole tradition to cater to one person who already had accommodations. Then came the kicker. I was at Costco 2 weeks ago buying some bulk items for the big meal when I saw Megan there, loading her cart with ingredients. We made awkward small talk, and she said, "I'm just getting started on meal prep. I'll have everything ready for the big day." When I asked what she meant, she smiled and said, "Oh, I thought I'd just take the lead this year and handle the menu. I'm happy to do the cooking for everyone. Give you a break." I was stunned. She just decided to take over my Thanksgiving, again, even after we told her no. I didn't even respond. I just walked away. That night, I sat down with my husband and told him I was done. I wasn't going to spend another holiday stressed and insulted in my own home. I told him I was canceling Thanksgiving this year at our house. If someone else wanted to host, great, but I wasn't doing it. He fully supported me. So the next morning, I sent a group message to both sides of the family saying, "Hi everyone. Due to personal reasons, we've decided not to host Thanksgiving this year. We hope someone else might be up for it, but if not, we'll see everyone around the holidays. Thanks for understanding." Cue the explosion. My mother-in-law called me within minutes asking what had happened. My sister-in-law, Emily, texted me, saying she was sorry Megan was being herself again. Jake texted my husband, asking if we were trying to punish Megan by canceling the holiday. Megan didn't reach out to me directly, but she posted a long, vague Instagram story about how some people would rather cancel an entire holiday than make room at the table for new ideas. Eventually, my husband told Jake exactly what happened at Costco and how he felt. Jake said Megan was just trying to help, and that we were being inflexible. No one else in the family offered to host, so now there's no big Thanksgiving this year. My family's going to a local restaurant, and we're joining them. My in-laws are apparently doing a smaller thing at Emily's house with just her immediate family. Now half the family thinks I overreacted and that I'm being petty. Megan hasn't apologized, and frankly, I don't expect her to. But now I'm second-guessing everything. Maybe I should have just ignored her again and pushed through. Maybe canceling was passive-aggressive. Maybe I'm the problem? So Reddit, AITA for canceling Thanksgiving at my house after my sister-in-law tried to hijack the meal. AITA for canceling my daughter's wedding just 3 days before the event because of what she said my wife. My daughter, Emma, 24F, was supposed to get married last weekend. The whole thing was going to be a beautiful fall wedding. Outdoor ceremony, rustic barn reception, string lights, the works. We had been planning it for over a year, and my wife, Emma's stepmother, 46F, put countless hours into helping. Emma's mother passed away when she was 13, and my wife, Anna, has been in her life since Emma was 15. No, she's not her mom and never tried to be, but she has always been kind, respectful, and supportive. I, 52M, am, not a wealthy man, but I agreed to pay for most of the wedding. Emma and her fiancé paid for some extras and the honeymoon, but I was covering the venue, catering, photography, dress, and most of the decorations, totaling close to $40,000. That was money I had to stretch for. Anna and I canceled our summer vacation, skipped some house repairs, and dipped into savings because we wanted Emma to have her dream wedding. Now, here's where everything fell apart. 3 days before the wedding, Emma, her bridesmaids, Anna, and I were doing a final walkthrough at the venue. Things were going well until the coordinator asked about the seating arrangement, and Emma made a joke about putting Anna at the table with the staff. Everyone laughed awkwardly, thinking she was kidding. But then Emma doubled down and said Anna shouldn't even be at the head table because, quote, she's not really family. Anna was standing right there. The coordinator looked horrified. Anna went silent. I asked Emma what she meant, and she just shrugged and said, "Look, I appreciate everything Anna's done, but this is my mom's day too. I don't want to pretend she can just be replaced." I reminded her, gently but firmly, that Anna had done more for her wedding than anyone else. Emma said she was grateful, but grateful doesn't make someone my mother. Then she added that she had already decided Anna wouldn't be mentioned in the speeches, wouldn't be part of the family photos, and would be seated off to the side during the ceremony. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. After the walkthrough, Anna went to the car in tears. I confronted Emma privately and told her that what she said was cruel and unnecessary. She said it wasn't personal. She was just being honest about the optics. I asked her if she genuinely believed Anna didn't deserve to be acknowledged at all after all she's done. Emma said, "It's my wedding, Dad, not Anna's. She needs to know her place." I told her I was going to think about everything. That night, I talked to Anna. She tried to brush it off, said it's not her day, and that Emma was probably just stressed. But I could tell it hurt her deeply. And I realized something. This wasn't just about a wedding. This was about what kind of behavior I was willing to fund and support. The next morning, I called Emma and told her I was pulling my financial support from the wedding. Not to punish her, but because I couldn't, in good conscience, fund a celebration where someone I loved dearly was being disrespected and deliberately excluded. She screamed, cried, begged, then got furious and told me I was choosing Anna over her. I said I wasn't choosing sides, but I was standing up for what was right. That I would always love her, but I couldn't endorse her treating someone who's been nothing but kind to her like garbage. She called me a selfish, narcissistic asshole and hung up. Her fiancé tried to mediate, but it was too late. The wedding was postponed. They're trying to figure out how to reschedule on a smaller scale. Many of the guests already had flights and hotels, so I know this caused a mess. My ex-wife's sister even called me and said I'm dead to the family for ruining my daughter's life. But here's the thing. I would have done anything for Emma. I have done everything for her. But this crossed a line. I didn't raise her to treat people like that. I'm heartbroken, and Anna still feels guilty like it's her fault somehow. But I just couldn't go through with it. AITA? AITA for canceling my daughter's college fund after she humiliated my wife at her graduation party. I, 45M, have a daughter, Emily, 18F, from a previous relationship. Her mother and I split when Emily was very young, and we shared custody until I got full custody when she was around 10, due to some issues on her mom's side. My current wife, Sarah, 38F, came into Emily's life when she was about 11. We got married when Emily was 13. Sarah and I now have 2 kids together, 6M and 4F, and for the most part, we've had a peaceful, blended family life. Sarah has always treated Emily like her own, and while there were some bumps in the beginning, as expected, I genuinely believe they had grown close over the years. Sarah was the one staying up late helping with Emily's college essays, driving her to debate club meetings, and even took time off work to tour colleges with her. Here's the thing. Emily is extremely close with her maternal grandparents. I've never had an issue with that. They helped raise her, and they've always been kind and respectful toward me and Sarah. The only thing I've noticed is that they still hold out hope that I'll get back with Emily's mom, who is now clean and doing better. I've made it clear that will never happen, but they've never pushed it directly. Emily graduated high school this past June with honors. We threw her a big graduation party at our home. We invited about 50 people, family, friends, neighbors. Everything was going smoothly until the speech. Emily asked to give a short thank you speech, and we happily agreed. She started off thanking everyone for coming and supporting her, then turned to her maternal grandparents and mom and gave a heartfelt thank you for always believing in her. I was smiling, proud of her, until she turned to Sarah. She said, verbatim, and to Sarah, I know you tried your best to be a part of my life, but you were never really a mother to me. I tolerated you because I had to, but I want you to know that I'll always see my real mom as my only mom. Thank you for trying, I guess. The crowd went dead silent. Sarah looked like she'd been slapped. I immediately pulled Emily aside and asked what the hell that was. She just shrugged and said she was being honest. After the party, Sarah went upstairs and locked herself in our room for the night. She didn't even want to eat. My parents and a few close friends told me they were shocked at what Emily said and that they felt awful for Sarah. Emily, meanwhile, acted like nothing happened. The next day, I sat Emily down and told her that what she said was incredibly cruel and unnecessary. She doubled down and said she was tired of pretending Sarah was her mom just to make other people comfortable. She said she was done performing and just wanted to live her truth before leaving for college. I told her that was fine. She can live her truth, but actions have consequences. I had a college fund set aside for her that I had been contributing to since she was a baby. It has around $80,000 in it. I told her I would no longer be giving her that money. She was stunned. She thought I was bluffing. I wasn't. I spoke to my financial advisor and transferred the money into a new account in my name, earmarked for my younger kids' education. I told Emily she could still stay with us until she left for college, but she would need to take out her own loans or find a way to pay for school without my help. Emily freaked out. She said I was financially abusing her and trying to manipulate her feelings. My ex called me screaming, saying I was punishing Emily for telling the truth and that Sarah was never a real parent to her anyway. Her grandparents also chimed in, saying I had betrayed Emily in the worst possible way. But here's the thing. I'm not upset she loves her mom more. I get it. I've never tried to replace her mother. But Sarah stepped up in a way she didn't have to. She treated Emily like her own. She cried the night Emily said what she said. She questioned if she had done something wrong or if she had failed her somehow. I told Sarah it wasn't her. It was Emily choosing to make a moment about cruelty instead of gratitude. My parents are split. My mom agrees with what I did. My dad thinks I overreacted. A few friends say I'm justified, but some say I should have waited until things cooled down. Emily has been cold and distant ever since, and she's now trying to crowdsource tuition money online. I haven't spoken to her in over a week. I'm starting to wonder if I was too harsh. But every time I remember the look on Sarah's face that night, I just feel anger all over again. So, AITA, hey friends, if you enjoy this content, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to know what you like and what can be improved. What do you think of the video? Are there any topics you'd like to see in future videos? Your feedback really helps us get better. Thanks for being with us. AITA for refusing to help my sister financially after she lost her job, even though she's threatening to cut me out of her life. I, 32F, have always been the responsible sibling in my family. My younger sister, Mia, 28F, has had a pretty rough time managing her finances and holding on to jobs. We grew up in a modest household with our single mom, and while things weren't easy, we both worked hard to get where we are now. I managed to graduate college debt-free because I worked multiple jobs, and I'm currently doing well as a project manager at a tech company. Mia, on the other hand, struggled through community college and bounced between retail jobs before landing a decent role in marketing last year. About 6 months ago, Mia lost her job unexpectedly when her company downsized. Since then, she's been scrambling to find a new position, but the job market in our city is brutal. She's applied everywhere she can think of, but has only gotten a few interviews with no offers yet. During this time, Mia has been relying on her savings and unemployment benefits, but those are running low. The tension started when Mia reached out to me a few months ago asking for a loan to cover rent and bills while she got back on her feet. I told her that I couldn't just hand over money, especially a significant amount, because I have my own expenses and savings goals. Instead, I offered to help her with her resume, prepare for interviews, and even connected her to some contacts in my company. I also told her I could help with small things here and there, buying groceries, helping with transportation costs, but not a full rent payment or a large loan. She didn't take this well. She told me I wasn't being supportive and that I was acting like I was better than her. We had a big argument over the phone where she said I was selfish and that family should help each other out no matter what. I tried to explain that helping her with financial literacy or job hunting was more sustainable than just giving her money that she might struggle to pay back. She said I didn't understand how hard things were for her. A few weeks ago, Mia hit a breaking point and asked me again for a loan. This time she said it was urgent because her landlord was threatening eviction if she didn't pay by the end of the month. I told her again I couldn't do it, but offered to help her look for emergency rental assistance programs or local charities that could help. She got furious, saying she didn't want to run around asking strangers for help and that I should just do what sisters do and help each other. The argument escalated, and she said some hurtful things about me being cold and not caring about her. She even threatened to cut me out of her life if I didn't help. I was shocked because I never imagined it would come to that. We haven't spoken much since then. Here's where I feel conflicted. I love my sister and want to support her, but I also feel like if I give her a big loan now, it will just create more problems in the long run. She has never really taken responsibility for managing money, and I worry that it might enable her to keep avoiding the hard work she needs to do to stabilize her life. I also don't want to risk my own financial security. Some of my friends say I'm being too harsh and that family should always come first, especially when someone's in crisis. Others say I'm being reasonable and that setting boundaries is important to avoid resentment and enabling bad habits. I'm wondering if I'm the asshole here for refusing to give my sister money when she's clearly struggling and threatening to cut me out of her life. Was I wrong to stand my ground on this? Would you have done the same or handled it differently? AITA for refusing to babysit my niece and nephew, even though my sister is going through a tough time? So, this is going to be a bit long, but I want to give you all the full context. 28F, have a younger sister, Emily, 24F, who has 2 kids, Liam, 6M, and Sophie, 4F. I love my niece and nephew, but things with Emily have been tense for a while now. Emily and I were pretty close growing up. We always looked out for each other, and after she had Liam and Sophie, I was happy to help out when I could. I was the aunt who showed up for birthdays, school plays, and sometimes weekend babysitting when Emily needed a break. But in the last year or so, things have changed dramatically. Emily and her husband, Mark, 26M, have been going through a really rough patch. They separated about 8 months ago, and now Emily is raising the kids mostly on her own. Mark is still involved, but only sporadically. Since the split, Emily's stress levels skyrocketed, and she's been leaning on me heavily. I get that single parenting is hard. I want to be supportive, but the way she's been asking for help lately has made me feel taken advantage of. Here's the thing. Ever since the separation, Emily has been dropping the kids off at my place for hours at a time, sometimes days, without much notice. She'll call me after a meltdown or when she has work conflicts, expecting me to rearrange my schedule immediately. When I say I can't, she guilt trips me, saying things like, "I don't know what I'd do without you," or "You're the only family I have." I get that she's struggling, but I have my own life and commitments. I'm finishing grad school, working part-time, and trying to maintain my mental health. I tried setting boundaries, telling Emily I can babysit occasionally if she plans ahead, but she acts like it's an emergency every time. I've declined multiple last-minute requests, and each time, she gets visibly upset and makes me feel awful. Her husband, Mark, who isn't very involved, sometimes calls me too, asking me to watch the kids when Emily can't, but I just don't feel responsible for stepping into that role constantly. A couple of months ago, Emily asked me to watch Liam and Sophie for an entire weekend because she was at her breaking point. I told her no, I had an exam and couldn't take the kids. She got angry and said I wasn't family and that she couldn't rely on me like she thought. That hurt, but I still didn't budge. Last week, Emily called me again, saying she had an urgent work meeting and needed me to watch the kids for the afternoon. I told her I was already booked, and she blew up over the phone, accusing me of being selfish and uncaring. I told her I wasn't going to let her guilt trip me anymore, and that I'm willing to help, but within reasonable limits. She's been cold toward me since then and hasn't returned my calls. I talked to my parents, who sided with Emily, saying I should be more understanding and that family sticks together no matter what. My friends think I'm right to set boundaries because it sounds like Emily is relying on me too much without consideration. I'm really torn because I do love my niece and nephew, and I want to be there for them. But I don't think it's fair for Emily to treat me like a free, last-minute babysitter and guilt me into dropping everything. I want to support my sister, but I also need to take care of myself. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to babysit my niece and nephew on such short notice and setting firm boundaries with my sister? Or should I just suck it up and keep being the go-to person for her emergencies? AITA for refusing to let my sister's boyfriend stay at our family vacation house after he caused a huge fight and ruined our trip. So, this is a long one, but I'll try to give enough background to explain the situation clearly. I, 32F, come from a pretty tight-knit family. We have a tradition where every summer, my parents, my siblings, and I, plus sometimes significant others, rent a big beach house for a week. It's a place we've gone to since I was a kid, and honestly, it's one of the few times everyone gets together with zero distractions. The house is owned by my parents, who keep in the family for these trips only. We all pitch in for food, supplies, and some activities, and it's usually a relaxing, drama-free week. Now, about my sister, Emily, 28F. Emily has been dating this guy, Jason, 30M, for about a year. Jason is complicated. To put it lightly, he has a strong personality, can be pretty controlling, and is known for being argumentative. Emily is a sweet person, but very sensitive, and often lets Jason's behavior get to her. Before this year, Jason was never invited on the family trips because my parents and siblings had some bad experiences with him, mainly because he clashed with everyone else's personalities and made the atmosphere tense. Earlier this year, Emily told us she wanted Jason to come to the summer beach house trip. She said she wanted her boyfriend included in family events and hoped everyone would get along. My parents and I were hesitant but agreed to try it out. We set some ground rules, like respecting everyone's space, avoiding political or controversial topics, and being open to compromise. The first few days were fine, some small awkward moments, but nothing terrible. Jason was a little standoffish, but Emily seemed happy, and my parents tried to be welcoming. Then things took a turn. On day 3, after a group dinner, Jason got into an argument with my dad over how the grill was being used. Apparently, Jason was upset because he wanted to cook the steak his way, and my dad told him to chill since it was a shared grill and everyone had to wait their turn. Jason didn't take it well. He raised his voice, and the argument quickly escalated. Emily tried to intervene, but Jason snapped at her too. Later that night, Jason confronted my mom about the kitchen setup, saying it was too disorganized and she should think about the guests more. My mom was hurt and confused, and the tension in the house started to spike. Everyone was walking on eggshells around Jason. The next morning, Jason took it upon himself to rearrange the house furniture and organize the fridge without asking anyone. This was the last straw for my younger brother, who said it felt like Jason was trying to take over the space. The family tried to talk to Jason about respecting the house and boundaries, but he responded with hostility, saying, "I'm just trying to help make this trip better, but no one appreciates it." That afternoon, my dad sat Jason down to have a calm conversation about his behavior and how it was affecting everyone. Jason got defensive and accused my dad of being controlling and stuck in old ways. The conversation ended badly, and Jason stormed out. Emily was caught in the middle and pretty upset. She begged my parents and siblings to give Jason another chance, saying she loved him and wanted him included. But everyone was frustrated. My parents, who own the house and organize these trips, felt that Jason's behavior was ruining the family atmosphere. That night, I had a long talk with Emily. I told her I understood she loved Jason, but his actions were disruptive and disrespectful. She argued that no one gave him a real chance, that everyone was biased against him. I told her that it wasn't bias, but boundary enforcement and respect for shared spaces and traditions. By day 5, Jason's behavior hadn't improved. He was snapping at people, ignoring requests, and creating awkward moments. My mom mentioned wanting to leave early, and tensions were high. Emily, caught between defending Jason and wanting to keep the family happy, was stressed and tearful. On day 6, after an especially heated argument between Jason and my brother about the use of shared bathroom space, my parents sat Emily down and told her Jason could no longer stay at the house. They said he was welcome to come back to the beach town if he wanted, but not to the family house. Emily was devastated and angry, and Jason blamed the whole family for being unreasonable and unwelcoming. Emily left with Jason that evening, cutting the trip short. Since then, the family atmosphere has been tense. Emily is upset that we kicked out her boyfriend, while the rest of us feel justified because of his repeated disrespect and disruption. Some family members think we should have tried harder to accommodate him, while others think it was necessary to protect the family space. I'm stuck feeling guilty for the way things ended, but also frustrated that Jason never made a real effort to change or respect us. I've tried to talk to Emily about boundaries and respect, but she sees it as choosing between her family and her boyfriend. So, AITA for refusing to let my sister's boyfriend stay at our family vacation house after he caused a huge fight and ruined the trip. AITA for refusing to give my sister a huge chunk of my wedding gift money because she needs it more. This is going to be a long one, so bear with me. I, 32F, recently got married to my fiancée, 34M, and it was honestly the best day of my life. We kept things fairly simple, a small ceremony with close family and friends, and a honeymoon that we've been planning for a while. We weren't rolling in money by any means, but we're comfortable and saved up for a while, so we paid for the wedding ourselves. Before I get into the drama, some background on my family dynamics. I have an older sister, 38F, who has always been, let's say, a bit of a wild card. She's brilliant and talented, but life hasn't been kind to her financially or emotionally. She's been through a divorce, has a couple of kids, and works a low-paying job while juggling the kids and a difficult ex-husband. She's always been the type to lean on family when things get tough, which I get to a degree. But over the years, it's felt like she leans a little too hard sometimes, especially on me. When I got engaged, I kept my sister in the loop, but honestly, I didn't expect much from her in terms of involvement with the wedding. She lives a few hours away, and with her job and kids, she couldn't really help much with planning or organizing. That was fine. She did send a gift card for the wedding, which was nice. The bigger issue came after the wedding when people started asking about gifts. We didn't register for many things because we already have a lot of household essentials, but we did set up a honeymoon fund, and a few people contributed. It was a nice way to help us with our trip without the typical toasters and towels. When all was said and done, the honeymoon fund ended up with around $5,000. I felt super grateful for everyone who gave and planned to use that money entirely on the honeymoon and future travel plans we wanted to do as a couple. A couple of weeks after the wedding, my sister reached out and asked how things were going. I shared some honeymoon photos and updates. Then, out of nowhere, she told me she really needed money because her car broke down and she had some unexpected medical bills. She said she was struggling to make ends meet and didn't know what to do. I felt bad for her because I know how tight things are for her. Then she asked if I could spare some money to help her out. I was honest and said I didn't have extra cash to just hand over right now, especially since I was still covering some wedding-related expenses and we had plans that required our honeymoon money. She then said something that really caught me off guard. Since it's technically your wedding gift money, you should be willing to help me. You don't even need all of it anyway. I explained to her that the honeymoon fund was given by friends and family explicitly to be used for our honeymoon. I felt uncomfortable taking that money for other purposes. I also said that I was more than happy to help her in other ways if I could, but I couldn't just hand over thousands of dollars that people had given us with a specific purpose. She got really upset and said I was selfish and uncaring, that I didn't love her or care about her kids. She accused me of putting my own selfish desires above family. I tried to stay calm and told her I wasn't trying to hurt her, but I had to stick to my decision. I even suggested helping her look for other resources, or maybe I could help her with babysitting so she could work extra shifts or something, but the money was off the table. The fight escalated quickly. She started sending me messages about how disappointed she was and that I was acting like a stranger. She also said that if I cared about family, I'd sacrifice some of my wedding money to help her out. I ended up blocking her on social media and taking a break because I couldn't handle the negativity. A few family members got involved after hearing about the fight. Some sided with her, saying family always comes first and I should have helped her. Others said I wasn't wrong and that it's my money and I could do whatever I want with it. Now, I'm really torn because I love my sister and want to be there for her, but I also feel like she's being unreasonable. This is a big moment in my life, and I want to enjoy it without constant guilt trips and drama. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to give my sister money for my wedding gift fund when she's struggling financially? Or should I have just given her some of the money and avoided the fallout? AITA for refusing to take care of my sister's kids after her meltdown over parenting? So, this whole situation started about 6 months ago, and honestly, it's been a roller coaster I didn't sign up for. I, 32M, have a younger sister, Emma, 28F, who has 2 kids, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Emma and I grew up pretty close, though as adults we've drifted a bit because of how different our lives are. I'm married, no kids, and work in tech, which means my schedule is somewhat flexible, but I still have commitments. Emma, on the other hand, has had a tough time managing her life since her kids came along. I always thought she'd get the hang of parenting eventually, but things have gotten worse instead of better. I'll explain. About 6 months ago, Emma started reaching out to me more and more, asking for help watching her kids. At first, it was occasional, maybe a few hours here and there, which I was fine with. I like kids, and I want to support my sister. But it quickly escalated to her needing me to babysit entire days, sometimes overnight, and she'd do this with very short notice. She'd say things like, "I just can't do this anymore," or "I need a break," and honestly, I understood. Parenting is hard. What I didn't understand was the way she'd behave when I said no. She'd guilt-trip me, sometimes even cry on the phone. It got to a point where I was stressed out about my own life because I was always worried she'd call and dump her responsibilities on me. My wife, 29F, was very patient, but even she started feeling overwhelmed because suddenly our weekend were taken up by watching 2 hyperactive toddlers who we didn't really have the space or energy for. Our apartment is small, and it's tough managing extra kids when you're used to a quiet environment. The breaking point came 3 months ago when Emma called me early in the morning, hysterical, telling me she was done and couldn't take care of the kids that day. She was having some kind of meltdown, saying the kids were out of control, and she needed me to come get them immediately and watch them. I was already in the middle of a work project with a tight deadline, so I told her I couldn't just drop everything. She screamed at me for being selfish and not family, which hurt because I have helped her a lot in the past. But I had to put my foot down. I told her she needed to find other solutions and that I wasn't a full-time babysitter. She hung up on me, and I didn't hear from her for a few days. Then she started messaging me all these angry texts about how I'm letting her kids suffer and being a terrible brother. I tried to explain that I want to help, but it's not sustainable for me or my marriage to constantly babysit with no notice. She replied by saying that if I don't help, she'll be forced to call social services because she's at her wit's end. This really shocked me because I never thought she would threaten to involve child services against me. I tried to reason with her and suggested maybe she look into daycare or a babysitter she can hire or get help from her husband, who lives in another state and is mostly uninvolved. She refused, insisting I was her only option. Over the next 2 months, things got messy. Emma started showing up at our apartment unannounced with the kids, saying she needed to drop them off because she was too exhausted. We were stuck with the kids for days without warning. I confronted her about this, saying it's not okay to just impose her responsibilities on us without asking. She cried and said she had no choice and that I'm a bad family member for not understanding her struggle. My wife and I had a serious talk and decided that we couldn't continue like this. We told Emma we would only babysit on scheduled days with at least 48 hours notice. When Emma found out, she exploded again, calling me selfish and saying I don't care about her kids' well-being. This past weekend, Emma called and told me she was having a breakdown and needed me to watch the kids right away. I told her no, reminding her about the schedule and that this isn't how it works anymore. She begged, then threatened to take the kids away from us, my wife and me, which made no sense because we don't have custody or anything. I told her to calm down and get help. She said she was going to call social services again, implying I was neglecting her kids. I'm honestly at my wit's end. I want to help my sister and her kids, but I can't sacrifice my mental health, my marriage, or my job to be her emergency babysitter. Emma refuses to accept help from anywhere else and keeps demanding I'm responsible for her kids' care. My wife supports me, but feels guilty about how hard this is for Emma. So Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to take care of my sister's kids after a meltdown and setting boundaries on when and how I help? Or am I supposed to drop everything every time she says she can't cope? I'm trying to be a good brother and uncle, but this is draining me completely. What should I do? AITA for refusing to let my sister's kids stay with me after she left them with me for an entire month without asking? So, here's the background. My sister, let's call her Emma, and I have always had a complicated relationship. We're 5 years apart, and while we used to be close, over the years we've grown apart mainly because she's been very unreliable and self-centered. I've always been the responsible one in the family, working a steady job and living in a small but comfortable apartment. Emma, on the other hand, has had a series of unstable jobs and personal issues, and she's a single mom to 2 kids, a 7-year-old girl and a 4-year-old boy. Last year, Emma started dating this new guy who, from what I've heard, is not great with kids and generally irresponsible. I didn't want to judge, but I did get concerned because Emma's kids seem to be neglected more often than not. She's always been flaky with plans, often leaving me scrambling to babysit last minute because she had emergencies or work stuff. I helped when I could, but I started setting boundaries because I have my own life and job. Fast forward to a couple of months ago, Emma called me one morning and said she had to leave town for work, some sort of conference or something, and asked if I could watch the kids for a week. I agreed reluctantly because I didn't want to leave the kids with a stranger and because Emma's emergencies are often serious. So I thought, okay, a week is manageable. What happened next was a nightmare. The week turned into 2, and then 3. Emma didn't check in much, only a few texts here and there, usually vague and brushing off questions about when she'd be back. I was working from home, but the kids are young and need constant attention, so I was running on fumes trying to balance everything. My apartment, which is small and not really kid-friendly, was in chaos. Emma's kids have different routines and dietary needs, and they were starting to act out because they missed their mom and their normal environment. At this point, I was exhausted, frustrated, and honestly hurt that Emma didn't communicate with me. I reached out multiple times asking what the plan was, but she kept dodging. After almost a month, I told her that I couldn't keep this up indefinitely. I have bills, work commitments, and my own life. I needed to know when she was coming back, or to at least get a heads up if this was going to be longer. Her response was shocking. She said she couldn't come back for a while because her work situation had changed and she was figuring out some personal stuff. She implied that I should just keep taking care of the kids until she was ready. I was furious. I told her that I'm not a daycare service and that she needed to figure out childcare or come back to take her kids. Then she dropped the bomb. She told me that she'd arrange for me to be the kids' primary caregiver indefinitely while she got her life together. She even said she might move to another state for a new job and wouldn't be around much. At this point, I said no. I told her this was not something I was willing to do. Emma blew up on me, accusing me of being selfish, not supporting family, and basically abandoning her kids. She told me I was making her life harder and that I didn't care about her or her children. Our other family members got involved too. Some sided with Emma, saying I should step up. Others with me, saying Emma is being irresponsible. The situation escalated when Emma's boyfriend showed up at my apartment unannounced, demanding to talk to me about family responsibilities. I told him firmly that I'm not going to be guilted into raising kids that aren't mine full-time. I also told Emma I was willing to help occasionally, but not indefinitely or without notice. Now, Emma is refusing to speak to me, and some family members have stopped talking to me because they think I'm the villain for not taking on her kids. I feel like I'm being taken advantage of and that Emma is using me as a fallback without respect for my boundaries. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to become the primary caregiver of my sister's kids without her involvement or any long-term plan. I want to help, but this is beyond what I'm capable of, and it's unfair to me and the kids. Thanks in advance for your thoughts. AITA for refusing to let my sister stay with me after she left her abusive relationship. Even though my family thinks I'm being heartless, this has been a massive point of contention in my family, and honestly, I'm still struggling to figure out if I'm in the wrong or if everyone else is just being unreasonable. I'm 32, live in a mid-sized city, and have been fairly independent for years. My younger sister, 28, has had a pretty rough time over the last few years, mostly because of her relationship with her now ex. A little background, my sister, Elle, met her ex about 5 years ago. At first, things seemed great, but it quickly became clear that M was controlling, manipulative, and emotionally abusive. He isolated her from friends and family, constantly put her down, and even was physically aggressive on some occasions. It wasn't something she openly talked about for the longest time because she was scared and ashamed. About 6 months ago, she finally left him. She told me it was a huge struggle because she was financially dependent on him and felt like she had nowhere to go. She stayed at a shelter briefly, then found a cheap apartment on the outskirts of the city and started looking for better work. I was proud of her for finally getting out, but also worried about how she was managing. Fast forward to about 2 months ago, she called me one night, sobbing, saying her apartment was flooded because of a burst pipe and she had nowhere to stay. She asked if she could stay with me for a bit until she figured things out. I was taken aback because I live in a one-bedroom apartment. I have a partner, and our space is tight. Also, I work from home and need a calm environment, which I've worked hard to build after years of stress. I told her that unfortunately, I couldn't offer her a permanent place because of space and personal reasons, but I could help her find some temporary housing options or contribute toward a hotel or Airbnb. I was ready to lend money or help in other ways, but having her live with me wasn't something I was comfortable with. She was very upset and said I was being cold and selfish, that family is supposed to support each other, especially in times like these. I get that, and I want to support her, but I also have my own limits. I have anxiety and have spent years creating a safe and manageable home environment. I felt like having her suddenly move in would disrupt everything and possibly make me resent her or put me under a lot of stress. After she hung up, she started venting to our parents. They called me the next day, furious that I wouldn't open my home to my sister. They said I was prioritizing my comfort over family and that I was abandoning her in her time of need. I tried explaining my side calmly, that I was willing to help financially, help her find resources, but that living together was an option. They weren't hearing it. My sister also started messaging me more frequently, sometimes multiple times a day, about needing money for rent, groceries, or transportation. I have helped when I could, but I set boundaries about what I can and cannot do. I'm not her bank, and I feel like she's expecting me to fix everything. One of the recent incidents that blew things up was when she asked me to come over and help her pack because she was moving to another apartment. I agreed to help for a few hours. While I got there, I realized she had invited a few friends over to help, and the whole place was a mess. They started drinking and playing loud music. I felt uncomfortable and left earlier than expected. She got mad that I didn't stay longer and accused me of not supporting her. I feel stuck. I want to be there for my sister without sacrificing my mental health or my own stability. I feel like the family is expecting me to fix her life and give up my own peace for it, which feels unfair. On the other hand, I know what she's been through is awful and she needs support, but I think that support can come in ways that don't involve her moving in with me or me shouldering all her problems. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my sister stay with me and for setting firm boundaries about what kind of help I can offer? Or is my family right that I'm being selfish and abandoning her when she needs me most? AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of the dress code and family drama? So, this has been weighing on me for a while, and I genuinely want to know if I'm the asshole here. It's a long story, so bear with me. My sister, Anna, and I have always had a complicated relationship. We grew up in a pretty traditional household with strict parents who expected us to follow certain rules. We're in our late 20s now. Anna is the more outgoing, socially popular one, and I've always been the quieter, more reserved sibling. We get along okay, but have had our fair share of disagreements and misunderstandings over the years. Anna got engaged about a year ago to her boyfriend, Mike. Mike is a decent guy, nothing wrong there, but from the start, Anna has been super intense about planning the wedding. She's very particular about how things should go, and it's become obvious that the event will be very her. And that means it's going to be very flashy, expensive, and, frankly, a bit over the top. Now, here's where the drama starts. Anna has set a dress code for the wedding that I find ridiculous. It's strictly black tie formal, which I get is normal for weddings, but she's also insisting that guests wear specific colors based on their relationship to her. Close family must wear pastel colors like blush pink, light blue, lavender, while friends are supposed to wear jewel tones, and so on. She even made a whole spreadsheet to dictate this, and anyone who doesn't comply is apparently going to stand out in a bad way. I'm not super into dressing up in the first place. I prefer simple and comfortable clothes. I told her early on that I didn't want to buy an expensive pastel dress just to meet her dress code because it's not my style and it feels forced. She brushed it off and said I was being difficult. Then she doubled down on the dress code, saying it's her day and she wants it to look perfect. What really set me off, though, was when she sent out the invitations with an added note explaining the dress code in detail and stating that any family member who refuses to comply might be politely asked not to attend. That felt like a threat to me. I talked to my parents about this. They are kind of caught in the middle, but mostly sided with Anna, saying it's her wedding, so she can set the rules. My mom suggested I should just suck it up and get a dress because family events like this are important. But here's where the past drama makes it worse. Over the years, Anna has been the golden child, the one who gets praised for everything, the one who's always right in our parents' eyes. I've always felt sidelined and overlooked, and this dress code feels like another way to control and exclude me. On top of that, last Christmas she made a big deal about me wearing a specific outfit to the family photo shoot, which I reluctantly did, but I felt so uncomfortable the whole time. So, after much thinking, I decided not to attend the wedding if I had to wear the pastel dress. I told Anna I couldn't go because it's not something I'm comfortable with, and the whole event feels more about appearances than about family. She was furious. She accused me of trying to ruin her special day and being selfish. Our parents are also disappointed, saying I'm making a big deal out of nothing and that I should just show up for my sister. My other siblings have been trying to mediate, but they seem to side with Anna as well. I feel hurt and excluded, and I don't think I'm being unreasonable. It's her wedding, yes, but it's also a family event. Should I just put on the dress and pretend to be happy? Or is it okay to draw a line when something feels genuinely uncomfortable and controlling? So Reddit, AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of the dress code and the way she's handling the family? Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos also. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support and engagement mean a lot to me. See you in the next video.